for making it to the semi-finals of Unsa Nationals 2023. And in the opposition, we shall have Green Hill Academy, Lamaro Cynthia. A round of applause again for Lamaro Cynthia. You've just taken breakfast. A round of applause for Lamaro Cynthia. Mohereza Melissa, sorry. And then Namayanja Victoria. Congratulations, Green Hill Academy, for making it the semi-finals of Unsa 2023. I'll leave you to the chair to give you the rules of this round, then we can start. IT team, are we ready? Are we ready? Festo, social media team. Is Festo around? Okay, Festo will be, this room will be streamed on YouTube, and the other room will be on Twitter Spaces. So for those on Twitter and those on YouTube, you look for Unsa, USSDC on YouTube, and Unsa Spirit. For the record, you might want to step up here so that these guys are recording this, just for the record. The camera people are using this podium, so you might want to stand here and just brief the team of the motion, and then we can start. Can I have the third microphone, if possible? Okay, the teams can prep in peace. No one talks, whispers. The only excitement is snapping when you hear a point. If you intend to do contrary to any of the three, please leave this room immediately. If you intend to talk to your neighbor, discuss the case with your neighbor, or violently be excited, kindly leave.
Your time is over. Because this is a semi-final, we are going to use standard time. That is of 8 minutes substantive speech and 4 minutes for the reply speeches. Paul Kitovu, please put up your hand. That gentleman will keep time. Please maintain contact with him. And can I ask the first affirmative speaker to read to us the motion? First affirmative speaker, which team is affirming?
This House supports the establishment of HIV/AIDS public record. This House supports the establishment of the HIV/AIDS public record.
Is that the motion that the opposition team has? Perfect. May we now welcome the first affirmative speaker to open the case of team affirmative. The audience, you're requested to keep silent at all times. If you must cheer, you can just snap.
Please keep quiet at all times.
This House supports the establishment of the HIV/AIDS product public record. Dear Judge, that's the motion that we are faced with at this particular time. One, dear Judge, you must note that just by the statement of the motion, we are faced by two problems in the current status quo. One is being the HIV transmission, two is stigma. One. Now, dear Judge, you must note that entirely in this debate, you must judge this debate basing on who better solves the current problems in the status quo. And as such, dear Judge, we want to think that whatever model they present as opposition should be justified in doing that. One, dear Judge, you must note that one, we are dealing with people that are suffering from HIV, and largely, dear Judge, these are people that are defined by one, the stigma that is associated with the disease, the people that are suffering a life-altering disease, dear Judge. Three, dear Judge, these are people that are looked at as the people that have poor immunity and as such a threat from opportunistic diseases. That is very correct. That is the kind of HIV victim that we are trying to defend in today's debate. And dear Judge, we are trying to think that largely in today's debate, we are supposed to look at exactly what happens, what is expected, what is supposed to happen after a diagnosis of HIV. We think that, dear judges, what must be taken into consideration after one learned of their status is one, therapy, two, counseling, three, emotional reconstruction, and four, largely acceptance. Now, dear judge, I want us to note that in a facility where these people are not actually, where the people outside do not actually know the kind of status that these people are having, we cannot achieve an inclusive society that guarantees the above mentioned strategies that have been mentioned. Dear judge, we must note that Vision 2030 has it to heart that we must have ended the spread of HIV by then. That means that we are faced with an urgency of 7 years' time to have made some kind of vision. And as such, Judge, we think we need an extreme measure that can accelerate us to achievement of such a vision. Dear Judge, we we must also note that in today's kind of debate, we must only understand that the fight against HIV is not entirely for the people that are suffering from HIV alone. We think that these kinds of people that are suffering from HIV need a helping hand. And as such, dear judge, that is the kind of inclusive society that we are trying to create by establishing this kind of public record. Dear judge, we must note that in the very first place, this public record shall be argued by team government as a source of stigma. But then, dear judge, we must note that the stigma that is still happening after the kind of mindset that the people of Uganda have had, dear judge, about this kind of disease. We must note that the kind of stigma that is happening are statements, are impulsive statements that are being made by the people who are ignorant about the status of the people that are just next to them. Dear judge, we think that by creating an inclusive society, we are sure that this kind of stigma is not going to happen. And dear judge, in an event that this kind of stigma is happening, dear judge, we think that we now as the government have a more upper hand in incriminating whoever poses this kind of stigma, because they now have the knowledge that this person that they are discriminating against or they present a prejudice against is suffering from the disease. Now, dear judge, I want us to note that one, we are looking at what the kind of at the sanctity and quality of life that we intend to achieve as team government. But before that, dear judge, we want to think that the metrics of support on which this kind of debate is supposed to run all through is one, utilitarianism, two, urgency, and necessity, dear judge. And as such, dear judge, I think that what best suits the actor in today's kind of debate, we think that the government of Uganda are supposed to be the ones that are achieving the most in this kind of debate. And as such, dear judge, we think that by eradication of the kind of stigma, as earlier noted, dear judge, is going to happen. Two, we think that we are going to achieve a less HIV transmission in the society. But then, dear judge, they may pose a question that, hey, wait, what if I know that this person is actually positive and still going for sex with them? I think that, dear judge, after we have made such a public record, we as the government are providing contraceptives and therefore incentivizing the consumption of such contraceptives. We are not saying that the people that are having HIV should not engage in sex. But we are saying that for someone to engage in sex with them, they already have the highlight that this person is infected, and therefore as such, dear judge, we think that this person is supposed to consume the contraceptive, especially the condoms, dear judge. We think that, dear judge, the medication that these people are supposed to have is not just entirely ARVs. But dear judge, I want us to note that these people need food, these people need right medication, especially in forms of food and lifestyle that they live. And dear judge, as such, we think that as the government that has provided organizations that can easily provide this, we are helping them to achieve their duty to extend a helping hand, especially the people that are suffering from HIV and are not able to sustain such a livelihood. We think that, dear judge, we also need, dear judge, consumption of more services, such as the counseling services that are being put in place. Because we think that the fight against HIV is not entirely supposed to be a battle that is fought alone. We think that, dear judge, by making an inclusive society where the people that are suffering from HIV can actually interact with the people that are suffering are negative of the disease, it could be a more important, a more powerful way for us to spring and into the achievement of Vision 2030. They may argue in their next speech that one, that the people that are supposed to disclose their status are largely supposed to do it out of choice. Well, dear judge, we want to think that that is very true and very correct. They deserve the choice to make. But here, dear judge, we think that we are supposed to weigh in on how many people are most likely posed to a threat of the people that of engaging in sexual intercourse with the people that they do not, whose status they do not know, and then compare and understand that at such a time when everyone knows the kind of status you're having, it would be much better for them to take the necessary preventive measures against you. And as such, dear judge, we think that the government, on the issue of choice, we have the social contract theory or the Machiavellian Niccolo philosophy that says that as government, we have the right to infringe on your rights if it is largely to the benefit of the other people. And as such, dear judge, I think you had a speak.
Yes.
Now, dear judge, I want us to note that by not disclosing this kind of status, one, we are, by not disclosing, reserving this kind of status, we are depriving the people of information. And for us to achieve an inclusive society, we need the people that are supposed to take part in this inclusive society to be aware, to be informed, dear judge. And as such, we cannot achieve such a society if these people do not have the kind of information to create a harmonious society or an environment for the people that are living with HIV. Dear judge, we must also note that as team government, we must also note that at the end of the day, as team government, we think that one, on the grounds of stigma, dear judge, we win because one, it is usually after this kind of mindset change. I want us to take note, dear judges, that after the kind of mindset change that the people of Uganda have gone through, especially through awareness creation, dear judge, we think that the most stigma that is happening currently is out of ignorance. These are impulsive and just random statements that people are making without knowing what impact they could have on the people that are living with HIV just next to them. And as such, dear judge, by giving them information, we are trying to curb this. To dear judge, we think that on the same ground, it would be a better way for the government to incriminate the people that are posing such prejudices. And dear judge, at the end of the day, we think that we have a bigger basis to incriminate you or to punish you as someone that carries out such prejudice. We think that, dear judge, at the end of the day, the actor in this motion is more satisfied because we are achieving the fight against stigma. 2, we are achieving the low transmission rates. 3, dear judge, we are achieving the consumption of the contraceptives and other unutilized resources, dear judge. I want us to also note that, dear judge, at the end of the day, what we need for us in the battle of HIV is an inclusive society. And what we need, after learning that I am having a disease that is life-altering, that is a disease that I'm going to carry with myself to the grave, I think that what I need at that time, in that kind of mental trauma, is someone to tell me that at the end of the day, this is not the kind of disease, this does not mean the end of your life. Because we know that at the end of the day, when people are subject to HIV, they even get, and they are on right treatment and right conditions, they can even sustain their lives up to another 40 years or so, dear judge. And as such, dear judge, I think that for us to create such a society, we need the people that are supposed to be harmonious in this kind of inclusive society to have the kind of information. Dear judge, the Lord is faithful, I beg to affirm.
Starting 3, 2, 1. Chair. A major mistake we get from the affirmative side is assuming that we live in an incredibly rational society. They think that people in society are inherently people who know necessarily about HIV/AIDS, and to this extent, they know information about AIDS. But that's an assertion. Let me show you why this is true. We think largely at a point in time when the government has provided more than enough information about HIV/AIDS, and we still have things like stigma because of the nature of the conservative society that we have. At the end of the day, this particular model cannot be applied. Result. This House supports the establishment of the HIV/AIDS public record. Chair, one thing that they run away from is actually explaining the nature of this particular public health record. But let me go into depth and show you this. We think that 1, the public health record is one that shows your HIV status, your viral load, your medication behavior. I repeat, your medication behavior, which includes intake of ARVs and your consistency in this. I'll show you why this is important, right? They come and give us arguments on 1, reducing HIV transmission, 2, stigma, reducing stigma, and 3, things like therapy, and then they give us 3 models, right? Urgency and utilitarianism, necessity, and basically, that's what they give us. I'm going to show you why 1, not only do these arguments exist on both sides of the world, but 2, they're more achieved on our side of the world. And last but not least, I'm going to show you why inherently the model is detrimental. Sure, understand the major stakeholders you have in this debate. 1, the government, 2, society, 3, the people that have HIV/AIDS at the end of the day. We think largely the government is important in this particular debate because the government is a decision-making body of the country. That means that they make decisions that they benefit from it directly, right? That means that government is then rational and sits down and makes decisions that people can actually benefit from it. We think that putting this particular model does not benefit government. I'm going to show you why. 2, HIV positive people. We think as beautifully characterized by the first affirmative speaker, these are people that go through stigma already in status quo. Not because people don't know that HIV exists, but because of the narratives that people actually have against HIV/AIDS. Knowing that you have HIV/AIDS won't change my idea of how I think about HIV/AIDS. At a point in time where society thinks that AIDS is spread through promiscuity and other sorts of things, doesn't mean that me knowing that you have HIV/AIDS at the end of the day will stop my idea of what I think or how you got HIV/AIDS, right? 2, they come and talk about the whole idea of society. We think that this does not inherently benefit society, and I'm going to show you why. Chair, we think that at a point in time where the affirmative team assumed that things that have been in status quo have actually not been working is wrong. We think necessarily in current status quo, we have reduction in the HIV prevalence rates. This is because the reason there is this particular not accepted, the reason there is substantial growth in HIV fighting status quo is because of the relationship this decision-making body, the government, has with society and with HIV positive people, right? Chair, we need to understand one thing, right? We need to understand the type of society we live in. I already told you society is conservative, and the government providing this particular information won't change the ideologies of HIV/AIDS. It will just give them information on knowing who to stigmatize, who to run away from, and who to do this, right? Chair, key things we need to understand. The HIV positive people, we think that these are people who have already gone through enough in society. We think things like health status are sacred, and you only make them positive in society when you only make them public, when it's important to you or when you want to know it. This is why we have the element of choice on our side of the house. I want to show you that why even when they try to frame out the element of choice, is actually inherently important in this debate. We think largely because of the element of choice that you have in status quo, people with HIV are able to assess to know when it's safe to actually review my status at the end of the day, right? That is the nature of these particular things. It means that people knowing whether I take my ARVs or not, knowing my viral load, and knowing that inherently I have the most viral load. This means that things like stigmatization then exist largely at a point in time. It means that they're blaming me for simple mistakes as forgetting to take my tablets at the end of the day, maybe because of a busy work schedule at the end of the day. This is something that they don't account for on their side of the house, right? Chair, we think that for affirmative to have actually had a stand in this way, would have shown us the necessity of actually taking this step. We think more than it is not necessary because the things that they bring for us, like reducing HIV transmission, are being worked on in stigma or in current status quo. The things like providing contraceptives are already there. Government provides free condoms. They do this without telling people who is HIV positive. They do this without telling you who has ARVs, who is taking the ARVs, or who is not taking the ARVs. These things actually exist on both sides of the world. We think at a point in time where they talk about stigma, they don't show us how inherently telling you who has HIV and who does not actually have HIV reduces stigma. They talk about things like therapy, counseling, and emotional reconstruction. Let me show you how this one already exists in status quo, and two, will actually destroy emotional reconstruction on the side of the house. We think that organizations like TASO that provide therapy in status quo. Yes, I'll take it.
How best does your model cater for incriminating people that are committing stigma?
I was getting to that. Anyway, they talk about how these things of stigma exist. I mean, reducing things like counseling. One, they already exist in status quo, and actually people go to do that, right? Two, we think that emotional reconstruction does not exist on that side of the house. Notice the nature of conservative society we have right now. That even with the widespread information that they said about HIV/AIDS, people still continue to nurture their whole idea of actually how HIV/AIDS. This is what people do. People choose to believe what they want to believe, not what government tells them to believe at the end of the day. Which we think that this is unnecessary on the side of the house. They talk about urgency. It is not urgent to go against someone's right of privacy at the end of the day. We think at a point in time where HIV is being combated in status quo by this particular model that already exists, we do not urgently need to go and tell every Tom, Dick, and Harry that Lamaro Cynthia is HIV positive and she's not taking her ARVs. That is not necessarily in this way. When we talk about utilitarian principle, let me show you how this works on our side of the house. We think one, people will choose to maximize their preferences and believe what they want to believe. That means that if I believe that HIV is spread through having sex with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, even when government tells me that HIV is spread through this and this and that, I'll still choose to believe that. That means that I'll be more inclined to stigmatize that person who actually has HIV. Things you're going to get from our side of the house, right? We're going to give you the principle of non-maleficence. How the government, as a decision body, does not necessarily have to cause needless harm to the particular people. My second speaker is going to come and show you how harm is more on that side of the house, how harm can be actually reduced on that side of the house, while we do not need to have people knowing who has HIV/AIDS at the end of the day, right? Two, we're going to talk about the right of privacy and autonomy, even when they try to frame it out. This is something that is very important in this debate, right? Why? When people's right to privacy are actually infringed, people will be feel targeted by society at the end of the day. They'll be pushed away by society at the end of the day. This looks like stigmatization on three levels. Stigmatization on one, an individual level where I will feel targeted by society and move on to society. Two, society stigmatizing my family because they know that someone else has HIV at the end of the day. And last but not least, stigmatization on a huge societal basis that creates a rift between society, right? I'm going to show you how the model in our second speech creates a rift between government and people, which actually reduces the progress that we already have in status quo. Because as I showed you, the reason we have substantial growth is because because the government is actually working, right? Sure, we're going to show you how this is not necessarily a good model at the end of the day. We're going to give you the harm's principle at the end of the day. At a point in time where something actually benefits people less and actually has no harms at the end of the day, we have to forego it. This model is not necessary. We do not necessarily need to actually do this, right? The government talk about mindset. At a point in time where mindset is already flawed, like they say in the school, how does knowing someone who has HIV, how does knowing someone who is taking the ARVs change the mindsets of people? They don't mechanize these arguments. These are purely assertions from the side of the house. I rest.
Dear Judge, they argue on issues of an irrational society. They argue that we are in a society that actually does not consider people. But dear Judge, I want to show you how we started with HIV a long time ago. We do realize there were high levels of stigmatization. And what did the government do? The government created bodies like TASO, which spread awareness, which removed the ignorance that we cited in our first speech. And this is how HIV stigmatization has actually dropped at the end of the day. We do realize that when the government focuses on solving the problem of ignorance that is causing stigmatization, as we highlighted in our first speech, we do realize that we shall be solving the problem of an irrational society, and we shall not have disqualify in this debate. Dear Judge, they come and show us that there will not be a change of mindset, dear Judge. They tell us that when you know information about me, you will not change your ideology. But dear Judge, we want to argue that when you know information about me, you will actually be more inclusive, and that is what we are looking for, dear Judge. We are looking for an inclusive society for the victim at the end of the day, dear Judge. We are looking at a way of how, when you know my sisters, you're going to work better to make sure that I have a better viral load. I am in a better condition to actually live, dear Judge. That is a society we are building by creating awareness, and that is a society we are creating at the end of the day. So their issue of there is no change in mindset, in ideology, does not stand in this debate. Dear Judge, I'll take you in the last minute. Dear Judge, they come to tell us that they come to tell us that at the end of it all, people have actually been taking their pills and they have been fine. Dear Judge, I want you to highlight individualism and togetherness at the end of it all. Which would you rather have in the fight against HIV, dear Judge? We do realize that once we spread out this information, we are going to have the community come in and support the person with HIV at the end of the day. Dear Judge, this is a more inclusive society. That is where we are going to have less HIV being spread at the end of the day, dear Judge. Isn't that a better society, dear Judge? Wouldn't you love to be in such a society, dear Judge, where the community is accepting what we are preaching, the community is accepting the HIV victim, and is helping them to combat this, is helping them to maintain the low viral load, dear Judge. They come to show us that the government is providing. I'll take you in the last minute. They come to show us that the government is providing ARVs for free, and that is enough to solve the problem. But dear Judge, we come to highlight to you that at the end of it all, the condoms there is better encouragement for a person to take their medication once there is community to back them up. That is what we mean by togetherness in the fight against HIV, dear Judge. That is what we want to have at the end of the day. They come to tell us that at the end of the day, the government is providing free condoms, and we accept that. That is why when my partner has HIV, when a person, my partner has HIV, and I know their status through this public information, I will be in a better position to actually adapt a condom. Dear Judge, we have looked at the problem where the youth and different people do not want to adapt condoms. Dear Judge, isn't this an incentive for people to adapt condoms and prevent the transmission of HIV at the end of the day? We look at their case being meek and their rebuttals being not considerate in this debate. They come and tell us that we are facing a conservative society. We are facing a society that is based on principles of stigmatization. But we come to show you that teaching awareness has actually worked before. We have shown you organizations like TASO that reduce stigma from the very beginning, and we believe at the end of the day, this will actually solve the problem of a conservative society that they highlight in our case, dear Judge. They come to show us that sex may not be the only way that there is transmission, but dear Judge, that is the major and the predominant way that transmission is actually occurring. So by virtue of the fact that we are creating an incentive for people to adapt the use of condoms, and that is preventing transmission through sex at the end of the day. We're actually solving the issue of HIV transmission that we highlight in our first speech. Even further, once we solve the problem of transmission at sex, that means even when when people attain pregnancies, we shall solve the problem of mother-to-child transmission, because at the end of the day, there will be no transmission at birth because it was not, the virus was not attained during sex, dear judge. They come to show us that there will be stigmatization to family. But dear judge, according to the info slide, there is no slight area where family is indicated. And even if it were to be indicated, dear judge, the family we do realize that all members that are having the virus will actually be on this platform, and we do not believe that the family will be isolated. Rather, we show you that stigma will not stand in this debate. Dear judge, we come to pray for you who an HIV person is, a person who has experienced stigma, and a person who has poor immunity. And they come to debate where a world where we are going to groom stigma in silence, while we show you that we are creating a world where we are going to publicly annihilate the problem of stigma. At the end of it all, dear judge, you should be supporting our side, and we show you the aspect of individualism in their case in fighting the disease, and we show you the aspect of togetherness, dear judge. And that is why we believe our case is actually better than theirs, dear judge. We show you that at the end of the day, we are going to encourage more medication. People are going to take more medication. We frame for you what medication is and how it will be better encouraged in our case, where the society is backing up in this fight. Dear judge, realize that a person who has been diagnosed with HIV at the end of the day needs therapy, needs emotional reconstructions, needs acceptance in society, and we look at that better achieved in our case than in theirs, dear judge. We show them the urgency of this case, and we show them that it is Vision 2030, where we have to create an inclusive and harmonious environment to serve for our people with HIV. At the end of it all, we are going to create a world which is going to acknowledge and accept. That is what we are preaching for, dear judge. An acceptance for these HIV victims. The society will actually accept these people. At the end of it all, we are looking at the problem of HIV being solved. Let me slow down to our arguments real quick, dear judge. We come and show you that there is medical encouragement in that when the society is backing you up, they will encourage you. They will cite where you have not taken your meds properly. Maybe you're lacking on food. Some people may not afford food. The society will come in to support you in your struggle, dear judge. And at the end of it all, dear judge, we shall look at better fighting of the virus when these people have it, dear judge. We show you that at the end of it all, we are going to have alienation of stigma, because we are looking at a new method, and the methods they have highlighted have been existent in the status quo, and they have failed, dear judge. We highlight for you a new strategy that is actually going to solve the problem. At the end of it all, what does that strategy bring about? Acceptance in the community. Dear judge, isn't that the world you would rather live in? Dear judge, a world where HIV victims are accepted and supported so that we can combat this disease, dear judge. We show you that at the end of it all, we shall have cautious measures by people to prevent this transmission, dear judge. We show you that transmission of HIV is a problem in the status quo, dear judge. We show you that at the end of it all, once I know that this person has my friend, this person that I am planning to get in sexual relations actually has HIV. We show you that at the end of the day, I am going to take the necessary precautions, because the website, the public information has actually confirmed that I need to take precaution, dear judge. Are we looking at more adaptation of the condoms, of the contraceptives that are going to prevent transmission of HIV, dear judge? Isn't that a solution to the problem at the end of the day, dear judge? Dear judge, we look at the different, we look at the problem whereby cautious measures could be taken by one person to prevent the spread of HIV, but when this information is accessible to the public and acceptance that has been preached by team proposition is actually seen in this case, we look at actually the precautions being emphasized in our case, dear judge. We tell you that it is better for keeping statistics in our case, dear judge. The government will be able to keep statistics of these people and monitor their health, monitor them, and give them the adequate medical services, dear judge. This is the world we want to create, a world where HIV is monitored, a world where transmission is less, a world where we have victim inclusiveness. Dear judge, we show you that transmission in our case is actually very minimal, because we are employing contraceptives, that is condoms, that are going to prevent the transmission. At the end of it all, we are preventing transmission at birth and also mother-to-child transmission, because we are going to make sure that if I'm going to engage in sexual activity with my partner, I will have to check on their viral load on the website, and at the end of it all, I will realize they have undetectable viral load. We shall have a child who does not have this virus. Dear judge, is that controlling mother-to-child transmission? We look at the major two aspects of transmission in the status quo being solved, dear judge. Isn't that a better case at the end of the day, dear judge? We do realize that this issue should be dealt with urgency, necessity, and utilitarianism, and that is why team government will take this debate. The Lord is faithful, I beg to receive.
I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Dear panel, notice that the medical department in itself is answerable to a law of privacy that is signed by the government in itself, right? Now, by the time they infringe on the privacy of their patients, that means that the medical department does not stand a chance. Hence, medical resources are not very important in this world because the medical department has failed on its side of fulfilling its burden to the government and society in itself, right? Now, let us look at the reason as to why stigma in itself has been eradicated in status quo today, right? It is eradicated because people have information about what HIV is in itself and how it can affect the patients, not who the patients are, right? Now they come and they tell you that there are organizations that have already information about HIV in itself, right? But realize that they do not tell you who has it, but they tell you how to deal with people if you found out that they have it, how best to deal with them, not who has it, right? Now they come and they basically show how they're going to try and reduce stigma on their side of the house. But look at this, right? Human beings, let us be realistic. People are going to choose to believe what they want to believe at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if you plan on incriminating them. At the end of the day, if I choose to believe that this person is harmful towards me, then I will not come close to them. That means stigmatization, whether said or not, is still going to happen at the end of the day. It's not only hate speech, it comes to removing people from having their jobs, denying them employment and things of the sort, because you have this belief that they are not deserving in society, right? Then it might not be direct, but it still happens at the end of the day. Society is still actually very much occurs on their side of the house, right? Now let us look at how they fail to show you that it is more likely. They fail to show that it is actually likely for society to understand that people have HIV and that they have emotional things to deal with and that maybe they should treat them right? They're living in this utopian assumption that society is rational, right? Let us look at this world. Utilitarianism in itself. People choose to believe what makes them happy. And at the end of the day, what makes me happy is to believe that someone is harmful to me and I should not come close to them and it will keep me safe. Then I will stigmatize them anyway because it's the best way to get rid of them and get them out of my life at the end of the day. Now, look at the information that's provided in society today. Information provided in society is not provided to those who care about you, but rather to the society in itself, right? So, if only 5% of the population understands how stigmatization affects HIV patients, then the 95% will not understand what happens to HIV patients as our actors today. They are stigmatized, they're treated unfairly, they suffer emotional trauma, right? Now, they're coming to show that they're going to try to deter HIV in itself, right? Look at this. When someone is stigmatized, everyone knows my status. Probably I forgot to take it because I was busy, right? At the end of the day, people are pushing me and someone ends up giving up and they're like, why not just die rather than being treated like an outcast in society, right? Now, let us show you the ripple effect on their side of the house, right? When there is stigmatization on an individual, already look at the way people perceive HIV in itself as stigmatization, right? They're going to be like, everyone around them has probably been cut by this person and they have HIV. This is stigmatization of a family and society in itself because the family is the first unit we have and then society follows in itself. So you have stigmatization of the society in itself and the government fails on its side of the contract as they're trying to achieve it because at the end of the day, if people do not feel accepted or deserving in society, then the government has no need to stand because the people then do not trust the government because the government has not fulfilled on their side of actually making them feel welcome and well-being. What happens then to the government is that it's voted off to have a government that will be more understanding, that will respect the rights to privacy, right? Now look, they have the body come to prove to us that by ignoring the right to privacy, then we can, by ignoring the harms that come with ignoring the right to privacy, right? It will better achieve deterrence as they want to show it. They will better achieve the social contract. It will better achieve the reduction of stigmatization, right? Now look at the world we're having today, right? A conservative world, right? Look at a conservative world in itself. People are entitled to their opinions, right? At the end of the day, we already have information put in place to tell people that, hey, don't treat HIV patients like this. But even then, stigmatization still exists. So what assurance do they have on their side of the house? When you inform people about people's intentions and who they are, please rest, then they will not be stigmatized, right? Conservative societies look like this. They're not going to change their mind because one morning it just sits close to them who is sick, right? They'll actually know how to criminalize, how best to actually stigmatize them because at the end of the day, if I know who the problem is, I'm going to keep them out of society to avoid other people from suffering, right? The stigmatization is still something that's in the house. Please rest. Now, individualism only occurs if you choose to maintain autonomy, and if you can actually fight HIV on your own, why then be pushed by society, right? They claim that they want to achieve individualism, but if the whole of society is telling me what I can and can't do, then I'm being pushed emotionally. Remember, HIV patients suffer emotional trauma from the disease that they have alone in itself, right? What happens then is that people will not take the ARVs faithfully because they're like, at the end of it, they're going to treat me like an animal. It doesn't matter if my viral load goes low because look at stigmatization. doesn't matter if you're virologist, but the fact that you have HIV alone is enough to get you stigmatized at the end of the day, right? What happens then is someone will actually deter on how they take their HIV, will actually stop taking their ARVs, and what then we have is people dying more, people feeling more emotionally traumatized and being pushed out of society over something that's already being settled in society day by providing the information that, hey, HIV people can expose to you, and you have the incentive to actually accept them and not stigmatize them. That information is there in place. But by providing them with who exactly has it, what happens then is that we have this people in society who are extremists, who are willing to go the extra mile to prove to you that I do not care about you, I do not like you, you are a detrimental harm to society in itself, right? Now come and look at the impact of the side of the house, societal rift, right? What happens is that there's stigmatization. After stigmatization is isolation of the HIV patients, right? In this case, we have like the Mr. Y and Mr. X people not being able to come up and speak about their experiences because, hey, they're going to stigmatize me. Half the crowd in this room is going to say that I have HIV and how do they see me as a very disgusting and very inhumane person, right? Because at the end of the day, what happens when you expose these people? People ignore the information about how HIV patients should be treated, but rather take up the fact that these people have HIV and they do not deserve to be in society at the end of the day, right? And then we look at the government shift. When society realizes that they are being harmed, right, emotionally in itself, right, what happens then? They're going to vote off the government because at the end of the day, there is harm's principle, right? If I am stigmatized, I am prone to death, I am prone to being unemployed, I am prone to very many things at the end of the day, right? So vote off the government actually and ignore it because at the end of the day, you cannot trust your government because they have failed to give you the burden, they have failed to fulfill the burden towards society in itself, right? Now look at the ripple effect of stigmatization in itself, right? From the individual, what we have is that people do not get the employment that deserve. But then again, look at the ideology that people have about HIV in itself. This is understandable. Common sense has it, and basically someone is going to go and say, hey, HIV is spread in very many other ways, right? So maybe you've not slept with your mom, but maybe she cut herself with the same blade you use. So she probably has HIV too. Where's the discriminator? At the end of the day, the cycle goes on, it grows bigger, and what we have then is a whole society being discriminated and stigmatized because of a piece of information that not be provided, right? Now let us look at the most valid thing here, privacy in itself, right? The medical department actually is answerable to a law of it's actually entitled to a law of privacy, right? When they fell out on their burden, yes, even if you don't have medical resources, people will not come to the hospitals because at the end of the day, why am I going to a doctor? He's going to involve the other public into my business at the end of the day. So why don't I just die with my problems? Because at the end of the day, you're actually putting it out there for everyone that I am sick, and that means I have no right to come to you for. First of all, therapy sessions that they claim them themselves. If I cannot come to you for therapy sessions, if I know I'm already being stigmatized by society itself, what trust do I have in you to not stigmatize me? What trust do I have that you understand the emotional trauma I'm going through? Will you change will you change society? Will you change what is going on around me? Will you tell people that, hey, don't stigmatize this person because apparently HIV it's okay to live with it? No, that's not how society works. Let us be realistic. Stigmatization exists at the end of the day, and the most detrimental problem we have on their side of the house, right? Now, dear Cha, notice that they come and tell something about they come and they tell you about terrorism, urgency, and then come and represent it as urgency. It is not urgent to intrude on someone's privacy. Why? Because at the end of the day, people are already attending therapy sessions. There's no virologic HIV patients in themselves currently, right? So it is not urgent to invade on my privacy, to put me at a stigmatized at the end of the day, right? It's terrorism. People choose to do what makes them happy, right? People will not understand. For this, I rest my case and vote Simo.
Judges, let's start in the count of 3, 2, 1, and go. Now, dear judge, what we face from team opposition today is what team opposition fails to understand what is in our case, dear judge. Dear judge, team government comes up here to front for a society that is going to create inclusiveness. What do we mean by inclusiveness in our society, dear judge? We create a society that is inclusive, that in the long run is going to end HIV transmission and stigma, dear judge. Dear judge, in the society that they are trying to create, a society that does not allow people to reveal their status, that does not allow the government to reveal their status out to the public, dear judge. I don't understand how their society is going to create inclusiveness. It is rather going to create individualism, dear judge. We'd love to note that, dear judge, effectiveness is more achieved when you are together rather than being alone, dear judge. So I actually believe that in their case whereby they are citing individualism, dear judge, I actually believe that our case that is citing co-handy, that is citing more people working together, our case actually carries more magnitude than theirs, dear judge. Dear judge, they come up here to tell us that there are other ways of HIV transmission, dear judge. But dear judge, I would love to show you that in the case what we are highlighting, we as team government, dear judge, are highlighting that yes, the highest rate of HIV transmission today is through ways of unsafe sex, and this contributes roughly to 87%, dear judge. So we actually believe that if you're going to have a public record that is going to show the whole world, this person is HIV positive, this person does this and this, dear judge, this alone is going to create an incentive in somebody that when I'm going to have sex with this person ABC, I know this person is positive, dear judge. So if I'm aware of this person's status, dear judge, I actually believe that I want to go into unprotected sex. I believe that I'll go into protected sex with this person, dear judge. So I actually believe that based on the stats that we give, which is 87%, I believe that our case is carrying more magnitude than theirs, which is actually null, which shows that theirs is null and void, dear judge. They talk of the emotional trauma that comes along with stigma, dear judge. But we believe as state government that emotional trauma can best be achieved through emotional support, dear judge. Now, yes, they tell us that yes, the information will be put onto the platform, dear judge, and only 5% of the people that will view your info are those that care of you. 95% don't care about what you do. They might even hate on you, dear judge. But dear judge, I would love to note the impact of this 5%, dear judge. There is a possibility that yes, the 95% are people don't live in my geographical location, dear judge. What happens in a case that yes, I live in Karamoja and my info is on this platform, dear judge, and the 5% that is seeing it are the people that live within me, and the 95% are people that are living maybe in Masako, Soro, or where, dear judge. So this alone shows you how relevant this is in our case, dear judge. I'm not taking it now, dear judge. They further on to tell us that yes, stigma is still existing. But dear judge, we as state government come up here to show you that yes, when AIDS first came into Uganda, dear judge, stigma was at its peak. Stigma was very high, dear judge. But through what government created in programs of TASO and PSC, dear judge, we saw these programs bring stigma down. But still, stigma has not gone down as we expected. That's why we are bringing in these measures that are actually going to bring back, that are going to bring out less stigma, dear judge. Now, dear judge, we don't understand because I raise a POI and I ask team opposition, how are you going to incriminate people that are performing stigma in your case, dear judge? They don't totally hint on this, dear judge. So I actually believe, just based on the fact that yes, dear judge, we are going to have info and know that yes, these people have HIV/AIDS. Once they receive stigma from society, dear judge, we actually believe that they will report to society, they will report to the relevant authorities. So we actually believe in the long run, we as state government, dear judge, are going to curb what we as state government are going to curb stigma, because this is going to give us a chance to follow up the entire situation and know yes, this person has HIV/AIDS and stigma was committed against him or her. So I actually believe that our case is carrying more magnitude on this particular group than what they seek to front, dear judge. Dear judge, they come up to tell us that yes, it won't change the ideology, dear judge. But dear judge, if it won't change the ideology, why then not front for inclusiveness that we are actually bringing on, dear judge? What the expression that is going to come towards me? Yes, they say when somebody knows that yes, you have HIV/AIDS, they will disassociate you from you, dear judge. But yes, in a long run, okay, now let us weigh out this, dear judge. What happens in the case that yes, I'm fine with my information being on the platform, and yes, people know that I have HIV/AIDS, and they are going to treat me the way they want. You understand? Or rather, me keeping my information secret, and the public getting to know through other lucrative ways in the back. Dear judge, I would love to note that there is more stigma in the world where people are getting to know your status, rather than you very well revealing this through the platform, dear judge. So I actually believe that there is more stigma in their case than what we as state government seek to front in this debate, dear judge. Dear judge, not forgetting, we show you the individualism that is in their case, dear judge, versus the cooperation that we as state government front in this debate, dear judge. We as state government show you that there is going to be cooperation, dear judge. There is always that one person in society that cares about you but won't bother to tell you. But dear judge, I believe when such life-altering decisions come in your life, when such decisions are brought in your life, dear judge, I actually believe that yes, society is going to come up and back you up. Society is going to come and sit on your lap. Society is going to come and lift you from the ground where you're sitting, dear judge. So I actually believe in the case that we seek to create. We are going to go out with individualism, and we are actually going to create a harmonious society whereby those that truly love you are going to come on board and take care of you, dear judge. Now, dear judge, we already go on to tell them, yes, already we have already seen the effect of condoms and ARVs, dear judge. Dear judge, start by various AIDS-related agencies like UFIA, dear judge, show 90% efficiency of condoms, dear judge. Now, if these are already in place, dear judge, and we are still having the HIV prevalence still going high, why do you think some of these things are coming up? Why do you think this 10% is coming up? We as the government believe that the 10% comes in cases where I'm going into unprotected sex with somebody and I don't know their status. So that alone reduces the efficiency of some of these contraceptives. But dear judge, I believe in a world whereby I am sure of this person's status. I am sure that person A, person B is maybe positive, dear judge. I actually believe that in this case, dear judge, we are going to take more stringent preventive methods, dear judge. We are going to ensure 100%. We are going to ensure 100% safety in our world, which actually team opposition fails. Dear judge, we further on going to show you, dear judge, that not only this, they tell us that this is not the only way, dear judge. This is not the only way, dear judge, that HIV/AIDS is transmitted. But dear judge, I highlighted this, dear judge, and showed you that yes, in our world we are fronting to cut down HIV transmission through rates that are bringing about HIV transmission up to a percentage of 87%, dear judge. So if team opposition feels that yes, the 13% that they front for is better than what we as team government are fronting for of the 87%, if they think that they are more justified to take up the 13% and ignore the 87%, I believe they will take this thing. But based on issues of the lesser evil, dear judge, I believe, and for the greater good of society, I believe that we capping the 87% is going to give team government the stance on this debate, dear judge. Dear judge, I'll go on, dear judge. They tell us it's going to infringe on people's privacy, dear judge. Now, dear judge, that is the right to autonomy, the right to free choice and everything. They tell us that the medics, dear judge, have the right not to reveal your status or everything. But dear judge, first of all, a right does not stand in society. This is a law that stands. That your right is not justified as long as it's going to infringe on other people's rights, dear judge. So if they are talking of their right of autonomy, dear judge, and your right of autonomy, dear judge, is infringing on my right as your partner to good health, dear judge, I believe that right won't stand up, dear judge. I believe that team government is going to win on this stance of a right, dear judge. I believe that since I'm fighting for one's right, I'm fighting for my own rights, dear judge. I believe that this will better be achieved, dear judge. Dear judge, furthermore, I would love to show you the greater good. Would you front for one's health over the health of the public, dear judge? We actually believe that in our case, we are fighting for the health of society as a good, dear judge, other than what they seem to bring on board, dear judge. Dear judge, we conclude by asking them, what has been done in the current model to diminish stigma, and we highlighted, and we are showing them that we are bringing something better actually. Then we ask them conclusively as I'm getting done, would you rather prioritize one's HIV status and not disclose it out to anybody, or rather disclose it out to society and everybody knows, and we reduce the transmission in the long run? With this, I beg to affirm the Lord is faithful.
I'm going to begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. If I hate Muslims and I find out that someone is a Muslim, that's not going to stop me from hating them. Something that they don't understand on their side of the house, right? But let's engage them on the major clashes in this debate, right? Notice that the first clash in this debate is about stigma, right? They believe that they can actually reduce stigma on their side of the house by incriminating people and actually putting out this information, right? Notice that even before that, this is vulnerable information, right? This is information about your viral load, whether you're taking your ARVs, and even who you are as a person, right? This is vulnerable information that shouldn't be put out to the public, right? But not even that, right? We don't believe that they can actually stop stigma on their side of the house because this already exists in status quo. They mentioned this in their second and third speech that organizations like TASO are already working on these people and informing them about HIV, right? So we don't see the need of them going the extra mile to actually reveal such vulnerable information, right? But not even that. On the issue of incrimination, again, this is something that exists in status quo, but I don't believe that this will work on the side of the house, particularly because this is outside of the debate, right? So we actually win on stigmatization. And then we come in our second speech and we actually give you how stigmatization is actually more likely on their side of the house, right? We come and tell you from our first speech characterization that this is a conservative society, right? This looks like people are not going to accept you just because you have told them that you have HIV, right? These people will actually come and attack you or will actually stigmatize you. We give you 3 levels of analysis: on an individual level, on a family level, and even on a societal level, right? We come and tell you as an individual, you are going to be stigmatized. Families are going to be stigmatized. They're going to be like, oh, that one's family has a person with HIV, right? People will actually disassociate in such a family. That is how that is detrimental on their side of the house, right? So you actually win on the clash of stigmatization. They come and they tell you that there is HIV stop this on their side of the house, right? The only analysis you get from their side of the house on how they stop this is that people are actually going to know who you are, so they will take precaution, right? At a point in time where even in their stats they come and they tell you that there is more stigma when people get to know your status than when you reveal it to them, or that like there is precaution. People will actually take precaution because of the gravity of the age and not knowing who you are. Then we think that you actually win on this clash as well, right? Not just that we don't need to actually harm these HIV individuals who are actually also stakeholders in this debate, right? We believe that you should tell these people information to know the gravity of age such that they can take precaution. We don't need to tell them these people's personal life and tell them such vulnerable information. So because of that, you also win on that clash, right? They come and they tell you how there is individualism so that they get togetherness in society, so society will help them. Let me tell you how this is unrealistic, right? We showed you how society is conservative, but not even that. Society does not have the incentive to help you as an HIV individual. This is something that the government does. So we don't see how society is actually going to help them or be like, oh, you haven't taken your HRV, go and take them, right? This is something that is actually very unrealistic on their side of the house, right? Then they come and they present to you utilitarianism, urgency, and even necessity. Let me show you how they lose out on all those three principles, right? First of utilitarianism. Just because people will actually believe what they want to believe, right? So at a point in time, when they come and they reveal this information, right? But this is not going to stop people from actually stigmatizing you. This is going to give them the more authority to stigmatize you, right? They're going to know who you actually are, and they'll come to get you, right? Some people won't believe what they want to believe. This is not going to actually change their mindset. This actually takes me to the other argument about mindset, right? We don't see how people's mindset is actually going to change on their side of the house, because at the end of the day, this is something that is being worked on status quo. Not just that, this status quo is something that doesn't happen only on their side of the house, but also on ours, right? So notice that we also, this status quo is something that we also have on our side of the house, so it's not exclusive on their side of the house, right? And then they come and they also tell you the urgent, right? We don't believe that this is urgent. We don't believe that revealing vulnerable information about people is urgent, because at the end of the day, precautions are being put into place, right? So by the time these precautions are being put into place and they actually accept that it is reducing, right? Just not as fast as they want it to. We don't see how this is urgent. This is something that is a process. It's not going to take a blink of an eye and then HIV has been stopped. This is why Vision 2030 is not actually next month or the next week. It's in a few years' time to come, right? Something that they don't understand on their side of the house, right? And they come and they tell you how when these individuals actually go to medical departments, they're going to get therapy and acceptance and emotional stability and all that, right? This is something that already exists in status quo. Everything that they present to you is things that they already exist. The only thing is that on their side of the house, they have more stigma. On their side of the house, they actually don't benefit the government, right? But not even that. On their side of the house, they come and they present to the government as the person who actually has major power, right? And they actually come and they tell you how the right to privacy for these people does not actually matter, because the government is actually doing it for the greater good, right? Notice how on their side of the house, they're actually supporting the government to use the coercive power they have, right? This looks like they would even also support the dictatorship, right? But not only that, we showed in our second speech how this is actually going to impact the government, right? This is going to look like people actually losing out on trust in their government and people being uncooperative to their government, because the government has violated their rights, right? At a point in time when the society is not benefited, even the government is not benefited. So even on their major stakeholders, they lose out, right? But I'll tell you that, right? We come in our speeches and to present to you three stakeholders: society, these HIV individuals, and also the government, right? Notice how we actually help society then at this point in time, right? Because we make sure that this society does not actually go and does not actually stigmatize these individuals because of this precaution, and we make sure that the government actually doesn't go against their right of the house, right? Stakeholder analysis you get on the side of the house on how it benefits the government. Not just that the government better achieves the social contract, because it's actually helping these individuals. They're providing these condoms and these three things, right? Something that exists on the side of the house is where a rift is created between the society and the government, because the government has gone against a right for the society, right? This rift is going to actually have a ripple effect, and this is going to look like people being uncooperative and people actually not trusting their government, something that doesn't actually help them in any way, right? And then we come and we present to you the principle of non-maleficence. We show you how there is no need to bring about needless harm, right? At a point in time where these HIV individuals go to the hospital, but there is confidentiality that they hold with their right? The government will show you how the house actually better on their side of the house and how we have better impact on our side of the house, right? We would have accepted to lose this debate if one, they had come and they shown us how the government has a moral authority to go against these rules, if they had shown us how there is necessity of doing this despite the harm that will take place and how we should ignore this. Let us say do not engage on any of that and they actually accept the harm that exist on their side of the house. So we don't believe that they should actually take up this particular way, right? But even if we had gone away with our whole entire case and acted like this should be put into place, nonetheless, right? Even if it didn't affect anyone, that is that it still goes against the government. The government is actually going to become in a point a dictator, and that I conclude saying give the ballot to Tiffany. Thank you.
Starting my reply speech in 3, 2, 1. Chair, two problems you see with Saida Famadi. One, they live in a utopia where everyone is like Mother Teresa and is willing to help you. Two, they're impatient. One, on that first argument, we think at a point in time where they make the assertion that just because society knows that you have HIV/AIDS, they'll actually help you, give you food if you don't have it, as per the second speaker. We think that's merely an assertion because society does not have the incentive to help you. Not everyone cares about you in society. What my second speaker takes time explaining to you in society is that this information is not provided to your family or someone who cares about you. It's provided to the whole country. Whether you love me or not, this is something they don't understand on the side of the house, right? Two, the whole idea of impatience. At a point in time where the third and second speaker comes and tells us that, hey, we think that there are measures that have been put in place by government and they have not worked. Let me show you why. At a point in time where government informed people about the use of condoms, people know that they're supposed to use condoms, but they could not access it. Government went a further step of providing free condoms for. This is something that is very current, right? At a point in time where these things are actually provided, you're not supposed to just wake up the next morning and expect HIV privilege to actually reduce. One thing they actually argue on the side of the house are one, the existence of these measures, right? Two, they argue that the whole idea of these measures failing to work. What you get from our side of an analysis is that these things cannot work in the blink of an eye. We need time. That is why government started first informing people about using condoms and then providing them for free. Two, we think on the whole idea of urgency, then they then lose, right? Sure, when government present to us the utilitarian principle, we show you how necessarily that works better on the side of the house, because at a point in time where I provide to you some information, it does not mean that you will change your preferences at the end of the day. Knowing who has HIV or AIDS does not change my ideology about HIV or AIDS. Knowing if you're taking ARVs or not does not make me hate you less or does not make me hate AIDS less. Chair. What we get from an affirmative side of the house is necessarily a government that entirely uses their coercive power to actually go, or necessarily the power that they have to go against the will of their people because they think it best benefits them. Even then, we show you that this is not something that best benefits them. They say they're arguing for what is in the best interest of the government. The government is only happy when the people are happy. This is why Uganda is a democratic country in the first place. When now people are happy, they'll vote me into power because they are happy with the rules that have been passed into place, with the rules that have been played. What you don't have on that side of the house is an unhappy public. They fail to show how this necessarily affects an HIV positive individual positively in the point of emotion, right? Let's say all their arguments appear on both sides of the wall. What they then fail to do necessarily is prove to us necessarily how those things exist more on the side of the house than our side of the house. They fail to engage in any of our arguments, the principle of non-maleficence, right? They also come and provide to us some counter principle, the whole idea of harm's principle, when your right to autonomy harms majority right, then you should take it. But they fail to mechanize this argument and show us exactly how this particular right to autonomy harms majority right. What to show you is that this actually harms majority right because one, it's harming three stakeholders that they fail to actually participate. One, the government, two, individual, and three, society. Why do we win on this ground? To show you one, there's no need for urgency. Two, there's no necessity for this particular law. And three, it's not justified for government to actually exercise their coercive power. I rest my case, give the ballot to team negative. God is faithful.
quiet. Those who have just come in, please maintain silence.
This is a request that I request that you signal for every minute, please. Thank you. The biggest question that has come from team opposition in today's debate is largely what moral ground supports the government to do such a thing. And yes, dear judge, we want to accept that, well, there must be a moral ground that supports us. But then, dear judge, I do not know how many people in the public were consulted before the government imposed a lockdown during the COVID-19 pandemic. I think that as such, dear judge, the government has a moral responsibility and obligation to protect the best interest of people. And as such, dear judge, we think we are putting priority on protecting public health, dear judge. And as such, dear judge, I think that is a satisfactory answer here. Two, dear judge, I think that the other obligation that the government has in this kind of debate is one, to ensure not only sanctity of the people's lives, but also the quality of the people's lives. And as such, dear judge, I think that we are really backed here. Two, dear judge, I think that on the issue of utilitarianism, one, we think that the main actor in this debate, being government, is achieving the most. Because one, we are looking at the problems that are inherent in the current status quo. We think that one, by the social contract theory, dear judge, we think that the government has the right to trample on your rights if it is for your own good. And as such, dear judge, we think that we are also not only looking at just your own good, dear judge, we are looking at the greater good of all the rest of the people. And as such, dear judge, I think that the government has the right to protect the most citizens, as they also highlighted Uganda being a democratic country. And as such, dear judge, I think that the decisions that are supposed to be taken by a democratic government are those that are best in the interest of the majority of people. And as such, dear judge, I think we also win on that ground. Two, dear judge, when they mentioned the issue that we are debating a utopia where people are less likely going to they are not like Mother Teresa. Oh, sweet Mother Teresa. Oh, I love that. Dear judge, we must note that one, they cite that there is a possibility of a 5% that are actually going to care. And actually, dear judge, I think that 5% in the Uganda's population is a very significant figure that are going to help us in such. Two, dear judge, we cited out in the very first speech that one, the person is there, but the services are not being consumed because we do not know who is there to consume them. And as such, dear judge, we think that NGOs are being demeaned of executing their power of helping such people. And on those grounds, dear judge, I love that. Now, dear judge, I want us to note that one, stigma on the two words. One, we must note that the question that must be most prevalent in this debate is whether the stigma affect more. Is it stigma? Is it worse stigma for the people to look at you and they already know? Is that worse stigma? Or worse stigma is where people are just gossiping about your status? I think that also on those grounds, the stigma that they're trying to create in this debate is largely on our side. To dear judge, I think that for the issue of stigma, we have seen that they are prevailing the current status quo. But then, dear judge, in our model, we have said that we are now getting reason to incriminate the people that are actually carrying out this stigma. And on those grounds, up to now, it has not yet been answered of how their model best incriminates the people that are carrying out such stigma. To dear judge, we must note that one, for this kind of stigma that they are trying to argue in today's debate, we must note that what we are trying to create after showing you what someone needs when they have committed the disease, we think that the kind of society we need is one that is very inclusive. That brings me to the three principles that must be weighed in on to win this kind of debate. We must also note that the people that we tell this may not necessarily change their ideology. But then, dear judge, I do not want to think that when you look at a blind man, you are going to ask them to read for you the number plate of the car that is passing by. I think that, dear judge, that is the kind of inclusive society that we are trying to create here. Because now we are feeding the people with the knowledge. To dear judge, that is kind of inclusiveness. To dear judge, I want to think that even if you hate an albino, dear judge, you are not going to throw that right in their face. And that means, dear judge, in as much as your ideology may not change, your expression towards such people is going to change. And as such, dear judge, I think we win on that. To dear judge, we talk about a more cooperative society where we think that the fight against AIDS is not just largely supposed to be by one person, but rather by the community, which they also want to argue that in the case of urgency, we have since fought with the current status quo since the 1980s, and as such, dear judge, up to now we are prevailing. But then the issue of urgency largely runs in this debate that we are only left with 7 years to achieve the kind of society that we are looking for. We also think that on the matter of necessity, this being the biggest composer of the people that are not consuming AIDS and therefore contracting HIV must be taken into note. And as largely that, the Lord is faithful, we beg to affirm.
Thank you very much for that very out and then people can have their
Hello, hello. Hello. Team affirmative or team negators? Team what? Team what was which one? This one? No. The other one? Yes. But now I'm good. Is this anonymous? What? All of you believe it's team affirmative? Yes. Why? Someone tell me. Why do you think team affirmative wins? Let me have someone. Let me have 5 people come and tell me why. Why? Where are the 5 people? Yes, the gentleman over there. I need the second person. Who? Aha, you, the gentleman. Another person. I only need 5. Yes, you. Most of the times I call one person, all of you, you flood here. You're just lucky I love you. I never chase you. But I want only 5 people, yeah? Okay, are we 5 yet? Who is the last person? Ha. You're all for affirmative. Yes, this one always wants to be on the other side. I know her very well. So she's team negator alone. Okay, let's hear from you guys. Why do you think... Let's come here. Let's come here. Aha! Our public judges. Yeah, they are going to give us their what? Their racial descendant, whatever the lawyers can tell us.
Good afternoon to all of you. I think team negative wins because the government, for it will just encourage that disclosure. It will just encourage letting all people know about your status, but it won't encourage the people. It won't encourage the society not to discriminate you, not to stigmatize you. And according to the statistics, 74%, according to National Labour Organization, 74% of the people are suffering discrimination and stigmatization. They haven't been able to remove all that. So, to my side, I think they shouldn't disclose. Okay, they shouldn't let the society know about their status. The government will just encourage it, but encouraging me to do something doesn't mean to force me to do it. To just encourage me, it is up to me to follow what you've told me or don't. So, I say the negators win this.
Yes. So team negators are saying it's a question of effectiveness. Hey, is the policy really effective? Can it solve the problem? Or even with whatever they do, the problem still exists? I want someone to answer that. Do you think that the government actually achieves what they are saying it's not achieving? Who is going to respond to her? Eh? You're also a negator. Who is someone? Yes. I asked for him, but this one's legs were faster than the other one.
Alright. According to the info slide and the status quo set by the motion, the class that are exposing all information about HIV/AIDS, including those with low viral load, those who are extremely sick, those who are having intermediate viral load, and all those who are just contracted and all that. So in so doing, as the government exposes this, people can take people about the precaution, you know, who is having low viral load, who is safe and who isn't safe. In so doing, they will come to an end of HIV, of the HIV/AIDS, because people have taken precaution, knowing who is safe and who is not safe. Above all, people will drop that stigma of fearing how HIV/AIDS of the rapid spread of HIV or the low spread of HIV. Because HIV is being spread at a high rate, it's also being manifested in the media platforms, the newspapers and all that. So we're going to involve this stigma of HIV spreading at a high rate. Let me take precaution or let me abstain rather than getting HIV AIDS and all that. So for that case, I say, I believe the team that was there did bring out that case because inside the info slide clearly.
Okay, let me hear from the farmers. Okay, for me, I feel like team affirmatives took it all. Why? Because those team affirmatives, they were able to prove their case in this debate. First of all, if you were to see, the team negators, they came here and they spoke of stigma. But ladies and gentlemen, for us to control stigma, we have to control the spread. And how do we control the spread? How can you help someone who you don't know the problem? And they say that people will feel that they are being stigmatized. But sincerely, how do you feel when people are talking about you without knowing your status? Other than talking about you when they know your status. At least that makes a difference. That's why I am saying that team affirmatives took it all, because team affirmatives, they prove that for us to control the spread of HIV, for us to control stigma, we have to control spread of HIV. How do we do this? When team government decides to expose everything about HIV, to disclose those information to every prospective citizen, it will act as a deterrent and to control the spread of HIV. Therefore, according to me, team affirmatives took it all tonight. And just a quick one. We are getting in the moods of finals. In the moods of what? Are we excited for the finals? Are we excited? Eh? With this team in the room, eh? If this team is in the finals, then you're excited. Okay, let's wait and see what the judges say. So, I'm going to disturb you guys a little. You're my best friends. Usually I don't want to disturb you, but I'm going to ask the 4 lines, the first 4 lines, from this column, this, and the other one, to like get seats behind. Do they take the chairs as well with them? Yes. We need to organize for finals. They're going to do decorations and all. So if you can move maybe your chairs up or use that side or the behind side, we will appreciate that. Yeah? Or just push behind with the seats that are empty. Do they go with the chairs, Mr. Okay. Thank you very much. You see why I love you? You don't even disturb. Just do things immediately. Thank you very much. And I'm also going to ask the videographer to pause a little as we organize, and yeah, so that they don't film that. Okay, who is speaking next? You?
Is the Lord faithful? For me, I think team proposition takes a lead in today's debate. One, they come and clearly clarify that in the world whereby a person is not aware of your HIV status, cannot come out to help you. They clearly signify that according to ethical considerations, if at all we open the constitution, that this thing of privacy won't be